Welcome to Here's the Story, a show that brings student affairs to life by sharing the authentic voices and lived experience of those who are shaping the field every day. I'm your host, Helena Gardner. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve as the Director of Residence Education and Housing Services at Michigan State University. I live my life as a mom, a sister, a daughter, a friend, and a mentor. I'm going to toss it over to my co host.
What's up, family? JT Snipes. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I serve as the Associate Professor and Chair of Educational Leadership at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And y'all, I'm just trying my best to live as a free Black man in a world that would have me live otherwise.
I know that is right. I know that is right. Today, I want to thank our sponsors, Huron. Huron's education and research experts help institutions transform their strategy, operations, technology, and culture to foster innovation, financial health, and student success. And I want to welcome you all today to a cool story and introduce Dr. Taran McZee. Now, we spent some time on the yard together at Central Michigan University as young folks.
Right.
Okay.
We we did some things up there, and we continue to do some things today. And I'm very excited to have Dr. Z, is what we're
Wait,
gonna
wait, wait,
call him
wait, wait.
today.
Don't just jump from the yard now. Hold on. What was you
Wait.
doing on the
We backing
yard?
up. You said what? You said what?
I said,
What?
don't just you can't just tell the audience we was on the yard and not tell us a little something about
Oh,
being on the
oh,
yard.
so I'm always ready to flex and talk about my experience in the wonderful land of the pink and green of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority
Yeah.
Incorporated. So I'm gonna let y'all flex and do your yard show real quick.
Well, being on the yard with Ms. Gardner, I had the opportunity to be a part of the greatest fraternity ever created by man, known
Yes,
as
Lord.
the Distinguished Gentlemen of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Yo from the bros.
What you
That's
got, JT? What you got though? What you
that's
got?
cute.
What you
That's
got?
cute.
You said take it back. You said take it back.
I appreciate our younger brothers. We love y'all. That's all. It's all love. I'm sorry. I'm cutting up too much already.
But now you gotta let them know. You got to let them know what set you
Oh
apart.
yeah,
Right.
I'm part of the I was I crossed in 2003 Tau Alpha chapter of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated at Baylor University. So I love that we were all on the yard.
We was all on the yard, and we all out here still on these yards doing things
Right.
and still
Right.
doing it. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Z to tell us a little bit about himself. What you doing today on the yard that you are claiming today, and I know you got a story to tell, so you take it away.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Gardner and Dr. Snipes. Man, I appreciate you both for having me this morning. Yes, I mean, we all started on the yard and we've all progressively have gone to different yards and we're still on the yard at some other institution. So I am currently at Albion College in Albion, Michigan, which is a small private liberal arts school here in Michigan. And I serve as the vice president for belonging and culture. So I oversee all of the DEIB initiatives for the institution. And I've been in DEIB work for 22 years now. And it has been eye-opening experience for me. I've served at six other institutions because in higher education, you got to travel, especially if you're on the administrative side. You got to travel to different institutions in order to elevate. So I've elevated all the way to the VP position and do have my eyes set on being a president of an institution at some point in time here in the future. So very excited about that, and some opportunities actually coming this summer. Can't really talk about them, but some opportunities coming this summer for me to get me prepared for a presidential opportunity. So, but
They
yeah,
say if you stay ready. They say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
well,
So
I'm in
good
a
luck
suit.
to you on this
Well,
journey.
well, I'll tell you this: I'm in a suit every day, but it so happened today it's 80 something degrees in this summer, and I didn't want to put on no suit today.
I hear
so,
you. I hear you.
so
I hear you.
I'm always dressed to impress, dressed, ready to get the day started, man. So it's for me. I always make sure because you never know what's actually going to come about for that day, right?
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know who you're going to meet. You never know what opportunity may be presented to you. So I'm always dressed for any occasion. So If I'm going to a cocktail after work, all I do is take the tie off and take my suit jacket pockets and put them in. That's casual wear at that point, right?
Okay.
So it just depends on what's going on for that day with that evening. But I'm all like you said, I'm always ready. I
Yes.
stay ready, y'all. I promise that.
So,
Uh,
so do
but
you
that's
got
the
a story to tell us?
yeah. So that is interesting because the it's funny, Helena. You said something about dress. Stay ready because my conversation, my story, that has a lot to do with dressing. And
Mhm.
so, make a long story short, uh, one of my mentors at Central Michigan University, name is Stan Shingles. Um, I am from Flint, Michigan. I am from a fatherless home.
Mm.
So I didn't get the opportunity to grow up in a house where a man showed me how to be a man. I had to learn from other folks, uncles, and people in the community. And so at the time at Central Michigan, I was getting ready to graduate from college, and I had a couple internship and slash interviews, but I didn't have a suit to wear. I talked to Stan Shingles about what was actually going on. I really was just going to him for advice of what I should do. Next thing I know, man, next day he told me to come to his office. He had a suit
Mm.
for me
Mm.
and said, I don't want you to give me anything. I don't want any money, anything. All I'm asking you to do is to pay it forward one day. And so that stuck with me for, I want to say this was back in 2022. That stuck with me for over 17, 18 years. How
Mhm.
can I pay this forward? How can I pay this forward? How can I pay this forward? And I had the opportunity to serve. I'm not going to say this institution's name because I haven't got permission to say their name, but I had the opportunity to serve as a vice president at a community college. And I can say in the state of Kentucky, I can say that. Um, and I served there for 4 years. Now, during my time, when I first got to this community college, um, they already had a black male initiative in place. And for the audience to understand where I'm going with this, my dissertation work was in critical analysis for African American males for mentoring and community college. And so I have a passion for African American males to persist and to matriculate and to graduate. That is my passion. That is why I'm in higher education. That's why I love what I do because I get that opportunity to influence that, right? But
Mhm.
during this time at this community college, they already had a black male initiative, but it wasn't operating correctly, and or they wasn't getting uh, what they needed from black males out of this program.
Mhm.
So I asked if they wouldn't mind if I took the program over.
Mhm.
It was a little fight at first, but I got it right. When I came in, there was 7 to 10 young men a part of this program. When I left in 4 years, and I'll back up, when I left in 4 years, I had 110
Ooh.
young men in the program with 85 coming every week. Okay.
Wow.
That's the influence because I came in and talked with these young men and met them where they were at. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the streets. They from the streets. I just happened to take a right turn um, and in life and had the opportunity to share my story. But my story resonated so much with them, they just kept coming back, kept coming back, kept coming back. And in return, these young men range from the age of 18 to 54.
Ooh.
Okay. And so I had some of I call them my OGs, uh, uh, was in turn helping me mentor the younger generation. Although they were there to get their degrees as well, they were actually helping internalize and mentoring those young men. But where the story thickens it is, I had 5 young men that came to me. They had already been at the institution for 2 years. Community college only 2 years. They had already been there 2 years and was told they were still a year and a half away from graduating. And so uh, I told all 5 young men, I said, hey, listen, I said, if you all follow my lead and do as I say, I said, we'll have you done in a year. what I did was I took it upon myself. I went and sat with the registrar's office, and I sat with the provost with about each one of the young men and what their path and where they was at. They gave me instructions on what they needed to do in order to graduate in that year. Uh, and I sat with all five of them after that and went through all of their schedules. Say, this is what you need to do to graduate next year. Now, on top of that, they met, although we were meeting weekly in this Black Male Initiative, they were meeting with me 2 and 3 times a week to make sure that they were getting the work that needed to be done, passing the tests that need to be passing, and doing their clinicals when they need to go and do their clinicals for the trades that they were in. They were getting their degrees in. And so, make a long story short, y'all, I told those 5 young men, I said, hey, and this is where Stan comes in. This is where the story Stan comes in. I said, hey, if you all pass all your classes with a 3.0 or above, I'll buy you a suit. None of them had suits. I asked them, I said, do you have suits? Well, I think one said he had a suit, but he couldn't fit it no more. It was like prom suit or something like that. But the other 4 said they don't have suits. I said, cool. I said, well, if y'all do this, then I'll purchase you a suit for graduation. Time goes by, the year goes by. I'm nervous because I know they was doing their thing, right? They were doing their thing. They were doing what they were supposed to be doing in that classroom as well. So then, end of the year hits, they all come to me one by one. Boom, 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 boom. All of a 3.0. They range from a 3.0 to a 3.6. That's where they ranged from. And 2 of the young men, mothers, came to my office and both cried in my arms because they said I had saved their sons.
Oh, wow.
And that was the most humbling. I probably hadn't cried in years prior to them coming to see me, but that humbled me. And I have this thing, y'all. If a woman cries, I cry. I don't know why. I get it from my mother. When she started crying, I don't care if it's a soap opera or a movie. If she started crying, I'll start crying. I don't know where that comes from. But I do when a woman is in my presence, she gets emotional. I sometimes have to leave the room, so I'll leave. But that was that was a humbling experience, and to this day, I embrace that because I had at that point I didn't know I had saved someone's life. I didn't know that. I was just doing the work that that I love doing, and that's making sure Black males persist. That was my thing. And so got the GPAs. I said, okay, y'all, meet me at Men's Warehouse. I think we met on like a Thursday or something like that. I said, meet me at Men's Warehouse. They met me at Men's Warehouse. Now, this is a time when COVID, this is 2021, 22. We're still wearing masks at the time. All right. But you can go into places at this time, but you still have to wear your mask. Right. So we go into Men's Warehouse, and for some odd reason, we were the only ones in there that day. I don't know why, but we were the only ones in there that day. Could have been a time of day because it was late in the evening. So it could have been time of the day. But we're in there, and I'm saying to them, all right, you got 3 suits to choose from: a smoke gray suit, a blue suit, or a black suit. I said, those are interviewing suits right there. I said, so you got those 3 choices. So they went out and picked the suits that they wanted. I said, cool. So as they're picking out suits and things of that nature, I'm sitting there. The owner comes over. Well, the white man that was working there comes over to me, and we're talking, and he was just like, what are you doing? I said, well, these young men got 3.0s. They're getting ready to graduate. I promised them if they got 3.0s or above, I would buy them suits. And he was like, oh, wow. And so he started talking to the young men. Next thing I know, they done put the suits on the table. Next thing I know, the white man comes up and he started putting shirts with the suits. And then next thing I know, he putting ties with the suits, right? And then he asked the young man, what size shoe you wear? And he went and got shoes. I said, sir, I'm just here to buy suits. I didn't say I was buying accessories.
Whoa.
Right. I was like, hold on for a minute. Hold on a minute. And he was just like, listen, I heard the story. I want to be a blessing to them as well. I'm going to donate the shirt, the ties, and the shoes with the suit. Not only did he donate that, he gave me each suit for $200 when they were $400 suits.
Ooh.
He gave me each suit for $200. You know what I'm saying? And come to find out, we went in on the best day of the year because the owner is only there once a month. And we went in on the day that the owner of Men Warehouse was there. And so he was the owner that we had met that day.
Mhm.
And he shared that story. And it's interesting because till this day, some of those young men still they stayed in the city that the school was in,
Yeah.
and they still go up there and they shop with him to this day. But I told those young men, just like Stan told me, pay it forward. I don't want no money. I don't want anything from y'all. Just pay it forward. Do it just for the next young man that comes behind you. Because one thing for certain, two things for sure. Students don't care how much you know
Yeah.
until you show them how much you care. I'm a firm believer in that, especially
Mhm.
black boys, because we don't trust easily. We don't. We don't trust nobody, especially if they're not
Mhm.
in our family, you know? So to have the opportunity uh, to work, with those young men and to work with that program, that's the reason why I went ahead and did my dissertation on that program and compared it to another program like it at Oklahoma City Community College through my homeboy Brian, who was running another successful Black male initiative in Oklahoma City. I'll compare my program to his program and what was the difference in those programs. And I interviewed his students along with my students, and a lot of the programs were similar in stature and infrastructure and framework. They were
Mhm.
similar uh, because one thing about and Dr. Snipes, I'm pretty sure you can attest to this. One thing about uh, black boys, especially black young men, if you put them on a schedule and they abide by that schedule, they won't veer off from it. They'll stay there, especially if it's working for them. They'll stay there. Now, some you have to push a little bit more. Some you got to cuss out a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? But at the end, when you show them that you care,
Mhm.
that's the end all be all. They'll run through the brick wall for you if you show them that you care. And so for me, this has been an initiative, even at the institution that I'm currently at. I started a Black Male Scholars Program here and got a Title III grant for it. And now, we got a lot of money to do some great things with our black males here at the institution that I'm currently at. And I have about probably have about 55, 60 young men a part of the program here
Mhm.
at Albion, and they love the program. So yeah, y'all, that's my story. I love this work that I do, especially for our black boys and men. Just a shameless plug, but I sit on the board for the National Association for Diversity, uh, the National Association for Diversity Officers in Higher Education. I sit on the board for NATAHE, but I also sit on the board for the National Boys, sit on the board for the Black Boys and Men National Symposium as well. And so our national symposium is actually coming up June 11th through the 13th of this year. And if, we'd love to have folks come out for that because, again, we got to save our black boys. We have to.
Mhm.
It's a must
Mhm.
that we save our black boys. And so that's my story, y'all. I'm sticking with it. I hope that I've done what you've asked me to do and sharing with you all. But yeah, this is the work that I love, y'all. I love this work.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna quickly give another shout out to our sponsors, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about this a little bit. We got to talk about this experience. So let's thank Huron one more time for sponsoring. Here's the story. Huron collaborates with colleges and universities to create sound strategies, optimize operations, and accelerate digital transformation. By embracing diverse perspectives, encouraging new ideas, and challenging the status quo, Huron promotes institutional resilience in higher education. For more information, please visit go.hcg.com/now. Okay, this is what I need to know. Did you buy 55 suits the next time? Because that's a lot of suits.
No, unfortunately, but also a blessed opportunity. I left the institution after those young men graduated because I got an opportunity to move back home
Yeah.
uh, to be a VP here in Michigan to be closer to my family, so my mom and stuff. So I left Kentucky and came back to Michigan at that time.
Okay. Okay, because they nothing like being at home. They nothing like being at home. JT, what you thinking about over there?
Well, I'm thinking about the urgency of Black men, right? Um, and I'm also thinking about the controversy of it, right?
Hmm.
Because if we go back to Obama's national initiative, My Brother's Keeper, right?
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
significant pushback from Black women, and I'm curious about what you would say to people because you made clear, right? There is a crisis for Black men.
Mhm.
I'm curious how you would respond to what about Black women?
Hmm.
Mhm.
So, so that's a great question. What I would say to you, brother Snipes, is um, by the time uh, black men and women reach the age of 18 years old, black females outnumber black males 7-1. Okay. Now, if you calculate that with incarceration and homicide, okay, so 95% of black men, honestly, I hate to say this, but are killed by black men who either love them or that knew them. Okay, so let's talk about the 7-1. Let's talk about the one that gets to college. You see what I'm saying? Even in the college setting, black females persist and matriculate on the graduation 10 times more than black males do. Okay, and this is all in my research. And if people want to challenge me, let's do it. I'm ready to go because I got the Cisco data to back it up. Okay, but um, our African American females don't have a problem graduating. Our black males do not grad. They do not.
I'm gonna push back and
Sure,
say
sure.
when I look at graduation rates, I'll just use my own institution,
Okay.
right? Our Black graduation rates, period, right,
Hmm.
are 20 points below
Mm.
what our average is. And I don't remember the exact percentage for the difference between white and Asian students, but across the board, Black men and women at our institutions are struggling to matriculate.
Mhm.
So I hear you in terms of comparing black men to Black women, but in general, like Black women are still experiencing institutional struggles.
I would say to you, Dr. Snipes, I would not disagree with you whatsoever because you do make a great point there. But if we're comparing black males to black females, our black females are graduating more rapidly than our black males are. And I can give you an example of my institution here. Only 17% of my black males are graduating. That's the reason why I started the Black Male Initiative at this school. But 67% of our female black African American females graduate from here. So it's and even nationwide, it's kind of the same thing. Our black females, and again, you know what? I'll be. Some of you said it makes so much sense, and it's true. It also may depend on the institution because I think if we're looking at apples to apples with institutions, right? I mean, apples to oranges with institutions. Every institution is different. Um, but I think nationally, I think it's safe to say that our black females are graduating more than our black males.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and be a black female here and and offer to the space that I, the walk is different. I want to use the struggle, but I'm gonna use some positive energy that the walk
Yeah, yeah.
is a little bit different, and the supports might look different,
Hmm.
and the representation
Hmm.
looks different on many campuses.
Hmm.
On many campuses, I can find a lot of women that look like me to connect in with. I'm not sure that that experience is happening everywhere for our Black males and happening differently. And any of us, we're human beings. Who we connect to, who we vibe with, who our energy goes with, can look different.
I agree.
But in this case, um, excuse me, what I think is that I want to pull out of this scholarly debate happening with my doctor friends is that passion piece.
Hmm.
The passion piece to I think I want to say to this work where we've got and so please like let me hang out in my non-doctor space for 1 second here. my, my other scholarly space of just my kind of my knowing that there is we don't always get to find ourselves in this work. And in
Hmm.
finding ourselves in this work, we don't always get to serve and support ourselves. One of the things I really enjoyed the most moving back home in this current role was having an opportunity to go visit my high school and do recruitment work on behalf of the institution in my department
Hmm.
at my high school, knowing that for about I don't know, up until that point, 23, 24 years in my career, I have not had the opportunity to go in my space, in my land, and to serve in that way. So I just kind of want to say to the like we can debate the percentage, the analytics, the numbers. I want to give some kudos though to hanging out in the space of paying it forward just a little bit
Mhm. Mhm.
because I think that that's not an opportunity we get all the time in our work. And I say that loosely because my work doesn't focus on identity work. So maybe that's a different experience for you, Dr. Z, and maybe differently for you, Dr. Stein. But for me, I just think there's something mad cool about the opportunity to hold up a mirror and then do that work with myself.
So, Dr. Snipes, you mind if I say something to you?
No, I don't mind. Say something.
So, I
Well,
applaud.
it depends. What you gonna say? Be nice to me. Be nice to me now.
No, definitely, definitely.
Talk
I'm gonna
nice to
say,
me.
I applaud you for being at SIU in academics as a professor because I didn't have that, man. I didn't have a black professor uh, in undergrad. I didn't have a black professor in grad school. I didn't have a black professor until my doctoral work at Kentucky, University of Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? So students get opportunity, young men get opportunity to see themselves in you as a positive um, opportunity because they can aspire to be you one day because they see themselves in you because you're sitting there in front of them and you're actually teaching them. I
Hmm.
didn't get that, so I applaud you for being on the academic side because you could have went anywhere in the world, but you wanted to stay in the classroom, and students get that opportunity to see you as a black man, as a proud black man, teaching the future of us. So I want to give shout out and kudos to you because I never got that opportunity to see myself standing in front of me teaching me something.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know we need to wrap soon, but I really I want to extend that back to you. You are doing good work in helping improve Black men's self-worth.
Hmm.
I think dress is critical. And in the academy, we often underplay it as something that's vain and not worthy of contemplation. But I would argue we need to spend more time thinking about aesthetics
Yes.
and acknowledging it, right?
Yep.
Because it does shape how we literally see someone, right?
Yep.
That's the first thing that we encounter is how someone is dressed and what what values are associated with that dress,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I have a colleague that wears hoodies intentionally because what happened to Trayvon Martin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a cultural signal to the folks in the
Mm-hmm.
space that, and he is excellent. And he
Mm-hmm.
tells people, you can't, he tells his students, you can't dress like me. if you don't produce like me, because
Wow.
there
Oh,
are real consequences if
Wow.
you go up in the cultural wear and have terrible work. The same is true though if you wear a suit, because I see this with some of our black men that will be like, well, all I have to do is put on a suit and then I'm gonna be taken seriously. And it's
Mhm.
like, no, the suit does help, but it won't overcome you not doing your work.
yeah.
So I,
Yep.
I do think we need to have some balanced conversations about the aesthetic. So I appreciate you at least helping our black men begin to think about their dress critically.
I love that because, I think we could spend some time hanging out in the space of professionalism and perhaps professionalism being rooted in whiteness, but that's not even what we're talking about. And I love that just in this dialogue, like we know that's not what we're talking about. We're literally talking about adorning your body and what that signals to folks. And so I want to acknowledge that because I think sometimes we can vibrate a little low and think that's what was meant, and that's not what we're saying. Is how do you want to present yourself? What is your look, and how do you do that? Who helps you? Who straightens you out? And literally, like to be super cheesy with it, who fixes your tie? Because I'm gonna tell y'all, as a single mom out here, one of the biggest concerns I had was that I didn't know if my son knew how to tie a tie. And I'm gonna tell you, he does not know how to tie a tie. And now maybe I should learn. It's probably like a value add, maybe a skill set that'll get me a little bit further out of my single life. But in my single life, I was worried about that.
Hmm.
And that baby found a way to
Hmm.
fix his tie so that he can take care of himself. And so, but I know that he did that on his own.
Hmm.
And it is not because he is short of role models,
Right.
right? Like do I wish deeply that somebody pulled mine to the side and said, "Let me help you, let me
Hmm.
teach you, let me
Hmm.
show you"? I do. Like I got a little teary in my spirit. I didn't know that was going to happen to me. But what I know though is that enough people have shown him how to take some initiative and how to make sure that however he presents himself to the people, you got to do the things you got to do it the way you want to do it. So I'm grateful that he found a way to learn how to tie his tie
Hmm.
confidently because I'm gonna tell y'all, I was like, let's get a clip, and he was like, we don't do clips, mom. Like, what? We don't do the clip. I actually need to figure this out. And so I'm grateful for the role models he had that taught him to do those things. So I thank you for your service, Dr. Z. I think on behalf and standing with those moms, it is a wonderful thing when we have the opportunity to see love poured onto our boys who then become men who have the opportunity to also pour. So
Hmm.
I thank you for that. And I'm not gonna say when we was walking around the yard that you wouldn't have done that, but I am gonna say I appreciate who you become, and
I
so
appreciate that. I
thank you.
appreciate that.
I thank you for that.
I thank you both for this wonderful opportunity to be a part of your podcast. And hopefully, if there's anything that I can do to help the podcast in the future, please let me know. And it's nice to meet you, Dr. Snipes, as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's all mine.
Well, this has been Here's the Story, part of the Student Affairs Now family. We're so glad you joined us to laugh, cry, learn, sometimes commiserate, and always celebrate being a part of the Student Affairs experience. If you have a story, and we all have a story, please consider sharing your story by leaving a 2-minute pitch via voice file at studentaffairsnow.com / here's the story. Every story is welcome. Every earnest perspective is worthy. And if you don't feel like sharing yours, you can catch ours because we still out there as the original post of Here's the Story. You can check out others and you definitely can play this back. Play Dr. Z back a couple times.
Appreciate that.
We hope this fed your flame a little bit because your life matters. Until next time, this is Here's the Story. I'm Helena Gardner.
I'm JT Snipes.
Thank you for joining us.